Africa enjoys plenty of sunlight, and many people do not know exactly what to do with the amount of sunlight they get. A young man in Enugu, southeast Nigeria, is thinking of what to do with the sunlight he gets and thought, why don't I build a solar clock that works as a solar light in the evening and also a charging point for phones and other devices in a home? So he decided to go ahead and build wall clocks that are actually run as solar panels and solar light in the evenings. Let's go see how he's doing his part for the environment.
When night falls in southeast Nigeria, light is a scarce resource. Many homes here are connected to the public grid, but electricity is expensive and power outages are common. That's often meant turning to diesel generators as a backup solution. Electrical engineer Emmanuel Obayagbona came up with another idea. He built a multifunctional device charged by solar panels. It's a clock, a lamp, and a mobile phone charger all in one. When there's a power outage, it uses solar energy stored in a battery.
Most time we do suffer power outage, and as a result of that, most people find it difficult to charge their phones and as well to use lights at night. So the essence of this solar rechargeable emergency wall clock lighting system is to provide lights in a house when there is public power outage.
It takes Emmanuel about 3 hours to make a single clock. The clock then costs the equivalent of about 80 euros, and so it's not cheap. But Emmanuel has still been able to sell 16 of them. Taylor Madu Uchechukwu was one of his first customers.
Since I bought it, it has been helping me, especially the gem booster, 24 hours emergency light. It was all of them, even the iron booster and torchlight. And since then it has been working.
Emmanuel hopes his invention will soon be mass-produced. Well, that way, the clock would be much more affordable.
When it is mass-produced, the price will fall down to 10,000 naira. You understand? Because here the clock will be mass-produced, the materials will be mass-produced, then we couple them here, we employ youths that have no job, we give them job.
Emmanuel has big plans for the future. He dreams of expanding his business and exporting his environmentally friendly invention to other African countries.
When you hear Zanzibar, you probably think of spices rather than seaweed. But in fact, this marine crop provides a livelihood for thousands of the farmers there, most of them women. Seaweed is also a key export of this archipelago, which is part of Tanzania. But climate change is threatening this industry. Some of the most profitable seaweed species are dying. Now, the Institute of Marine Sciences of the University of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania is trying to set up training programs to help farmers to increase their yields on the island of Zanzibar.
When the sun rises, the women of Zanzibar head to their seaweed farms. All they need to help the seaweed grow are strings and sticks. On the archipelago, thousands of people farm seaweed. The majority of them are women. 45-year-old Fatu Mustafa is one of them. For the last 20 years, she's been wading into the knee-high blue waters to tend her farm. The crop has liberated her from being solely dependent on her husband.
Seaweed has many uses. First, it's used as food. But we also make soap out of it, and we make beauty products from it. My earnings have helped me educate my children and bring them to the hospital when they're ill.
For the last few decades, Zanzibar has been one of the world's largest exporters of seaweed. The island produces 10,000 tons annually, supplying China, Korea, Vietnam, the U.S., and European countries. After tourism and cloves, seaweed is Zanzibar's third largest foreign exchange earner. Seaweed is used in toothpaste, shampoos, and medical products. But there's a problem. In recent years, Fatou Mustafa and other farmers have less and less to harvest.
We just pray for better yields. Farming seaweed is a struggle. We harvest whatever we can find. You can plant seaweed and still get a poor yield. That's why it's so hard.
Many women have already quit the trade, but finding other ways of making money is difficult. Climate change is causing the seaweed harvest to decline. Flower Msuya is a marine scientist in Zanzibar. In the last decades, she says, water temperatures have risen several degrees, making the seaweed vulnerable.
Because of this water temperature, then the seaweed gets two types of problems. One is what we call epiphytes. Epiphytes are hairy microalgae, like you see this one here, the hairy things you see on this seaweed. These are epiphytes, and you see this one is actually full of dots and hairy material. These are epiphytes. When the seaweed gets the epiphytes, if it is too much, it just gets bleached and it dies. The farmers will lose the crop.
The government of Zanzibar is worried that climate change will kill the industry. Some scientists have suggested they move the farms farther offshore, where the water is cooler. But the problem is, most women in Zanzibar can't swim. That's why the government encourages seaweed farmers to not only sell the cash crop, but also process the crop themselves. That way they can earn more money. Safia used to be a seaweed farmer. Today, she's an entrepreneur running a women's group that makes a variety of products from seaweed.
Seaweed farming was good, but I couldn't earn enough. When I came back home after studying, I began making soaps. I took them to be inspected and they were approved. They said I could make them, so I did, and started selling them.
Safia and her group have gone from making soap to making body lotions, shampoo, juice, and even seaweed cakes. For now, they're coping with climate change by adopting a new business model. But still, they're worried about the impact of climate change and hope that seaweed in Zanzibar will recover soon.
Right, and that's it for EcoAfrica today. We hope you've enjoyed the latest edition about nature and the environment. My name is Sharon Mumanyi from Nairobi, Kenya. Bye for today.
You can find out more about our stories on our website or visit us on our social media platforms and have your say. That's Twitter, Facebook, and all the others. Thanks for watching. We will be back with you next week for another edition of our Pan-African and European Environment magazine. Bye-bye from me, Neo Taigwe in Abeokuta in Ogun State, Nigeria.